And now we move on to SpaceX. They had a successful CRS-18 launch on July 25th, 2019, followed up by a docking of the Dragon spacecraft on the ISS to resupply the 6 crew members on board with supplies and experiments. One of the payloads on board is the precursor to 3D printing organs. Apparently, Earth's gravity has a major impact on 3D printing organs and prevents us from going farther. They will be testing it in microgravity to see if it creates better organs in 3D in orbit, in microgravity. If we look back to when the first plastic parts were 3D printed in orbit, it was found that those objects actually printed in orbit and they had better adhesion properties and strength properties, and they were better parts in certain ways. Will organic material be better? We'll find out. This bio 3D printer will start 3D printing cardiac tissue in orbit to see if zero gravity creates better conditions for layers to bond while printing. While a future where we can print a heart as an organ replacement in space is many years away at this point, this bioprinter will allow for testing of techniques early on that will help us advance the ability to actually print a fully functioning organ replacement someday. Some of these techniques will try to 3D print open cylinders that would represent blood vessels, hollow cavities similar to those found in human organs like the heart. The bioprinter is called the Biofactory Facility, or BFF. Kind of convenient for the future where you call up your BFF because you need a new liver and your BFF starts making you a new liver in space. Anyways, the BFF bioprinter will use 3 basic materials to create organic parts. Those materials are cells, proteins, and nutrients. And the BFF's stated mission is to push the limits of what can be printed in microgravity. NASA is setting up slime to the International Space Station for its continuing inspiration and education efforts. They'll show what slime acts like in orbit. If you haven't seen their videos of water in orbit, where they actually, I think, play ping pong with a little ball of water that they squirted out of their water bottle in space. There's a link in this week's episode, so you can check that out. My favorite astronaut for this type of inspirational, educational content has been Canadian astronaut Chris Hadfield. So if you haven't checked out astronaut Chris Hadfield, please go online and look. We'll have a link so you can check out some of the cool stuff that I've seen him do. And he's very inspirational as an astronaut. He stands out, in my opinion. Another major payload on board is the International Docking Adapter 3, or IDA-3. It is the new standard for spacecraft docking with the ISS, including human-rated spacecraft like SpaceX's Crew Dragon, NASA's Orion, and Boeing's Starliner CST-100. The major upgrade of the IDA would allow for a future procedure, if I recall properly, that would use a laser-guided docking procedure to allow for safe guided docking to the ISS. This will be crucial for when regular docking of crewed spacecraft becomes a more regular thing. This should allow higher human traffic to and from the ISS. To give you some history, the IDA-1 was lost on CRS-7 on June 28, 2015, but a few months later, SpaceX launched the IDA-2 on July of 2016 for CRS-9, and it was installed in August of the same year. And just a little bit of extra info that I found out from the SpaceX launch broadcast, the Demo 1 or DM-1 Dragon capsule that launched on March 3rd of this year docked with the ISS using the IDA-2. Now, the International Space Station has major upgrade capability for the future of human travel to low Earth orbit. SpaceX also had a successful 20-meter hop of the Starship water tower. A link to that is in the episode's description and at todayinspace.net. That was something else. I mean, we didn't have great pictures, but the next hop is 200 meters. A SpaceX Starship update will come very soon, which should reveal some new developments. Elon Musk stated in a tweet recently that yes, an update is coming, which would include a detailed review of the first orbital Starship and explaining the pros and cons of each design decision, because if you've been keeping track of the Starship design, it has changed a lot since the original design, and that's because they're learning on the fly. It's literally a design process. We're seeing the concepts of what they think is possible, and then when they test it, they figure out what they have to change, and the design changes with it. I think it's a part of the process that I think is very underrated, and we definitely should. I am a big fan of seeing stuff develop. It's not a downside that the design changes. As long as they end up launching something that's successful, what do I care if it's changed a few times? But that is not news. That's my opinion. Let's keep moving on. Have a great week. Be safe, and make sure to spread love and spread science. We'll see you next time.